Hi, today I'm going to be showing you the mopping functionality of the ILIFE V7S Pro. First, I'll just show you the water tanks of these two here. And I've already filled them up with water just to show you if it drips. And this is the new water tank of the V7S Pro here. Let me just pan this camera up. And you'll see that it has this regulator here. A GearBest calls this a pump that supposedly prevents water from dripping, which I will see now if it drips. I don't see any visible drips, at least with this water tank detached from the robot. And let's look at the water tank of the V7S. This is the first generation V7S. It doesn't have any regulator or pump here. I also don't see any visible drips here. And I'll be testing the mopping right now, and I'll attach the mop onto the robot. Let me just move this camera here, and I'll just remove the bin here and attach this water tank. This is the bin, and let me just attach this water tank here. Oh, before that I have to attach the microfiber towel, microfiber bracket here. This is the bracket that holds the mop, microfiber mop. And you can also use this. You can also schedule the robot to mop and vacuum. Again, it depends on what is attached. If the mop is attached, then it will mop on its own. But if the vacuum is attached, the dirt bin is attached, it will vacuum on its own after you set the schedule. And the robot is trying to find its home base right now. Let me just attach this water tank here. Make sure you push it down and close it. And I'll be right back. I'll just set up the tripod. Okay, I have the tripod set up right now, and I'll turn on the robot, and I'll use this remote. Just press the clean button here in the middle to turn on this robot in mop mode. I'll be running this for maybe around 3 or 4 minutes just to see how it does, and then let it sit for a while to see if the water will drip after, if it will create a puddle of water. Now it takes a while for the mop to be saturated with water, to be damp. But if you want it to be damp immediately, I would suggest that you pre-soak the mop in water. I think that would be the best way to go about this, especially if you're mopping a surface like tile. And you can also spray on cleaner on the mop so that it can clean. Now this is also a demonstration of how the robot navigates with the mop attached. It's basically similar to the navigation when it vacuums. Only the vacuum motor is turned off. When you attach the water tank and the microfiber mop, the robot detects it. It has a sensor that detects it and shuts down the vacuum. Now the mopping motion is not the same as a Braava, where it goes back and forth in a mopping motion. This is different. So if you want that short mopping stroke, then you would go for the Braava. But this robot has a vacuum, so it's more versatile and it's cheaper. Though agitation is not as good as a Braava. It basically drags the mop on the floor. So this would be best utilized on a relatively clean surface where you just want to mop it and rid of any light soils. Now, I don't know if you can see this. The floor is already damp. That's the damp floor already, and the water is beginning to soak the mop underneath. The key here is when you stop the robot, if the water flow stops. And I would suggest using distilled water. You could also use hot tap water if you're cleaning a soiled area. Pre-soak the mop, the microfiber pad with hot tap water and spray on some cleaning agent to help dislodge any stuck on dirt on tile. Again, this video is to show you how this robot navigates with the mop attached, just to give you an idea. You can also fill the water tank with cleaning solution depending on the surface you'll be cleaning, but make sure it's not too thick or it may clog the posts where the water comes out, where liquid comes out at the bottom. Okay, that's then I'll stop it and let it sit for a minute or so. Now, before I check on the robot, I'll just show you the flooring here, how it looks like, and you'll see that there are parts that are still damp here, and if I move closer over here, these are the damp spots on the floor. Now, GearBest says, again, you can schedule the robot to mop or vacuum, and which is basically the same. Again, it depends on what's attached. If the bin is attached to a vacuum, if the water tank is attached to a mop. And okay, I've let the robot sit for around a minute, and I just want to see if it will create a puddle of water underneath. I just want to see if the pump would stop the water from dripping down. And let me just remove this robot here and show you what it looks like. Then if you can see it, it doesn't have a puddle of water, it's just damp here. And then if you can see it, just give you a close-up look against the light. I don't see any puddle of water. And we just open this and see how it looks like here. And this is the water tank here. And I'm checking if there's any drips coming out here. Somebody asked in the first video how this, I just read it now, how the pump works. I'm not exactly sure how it works. As you can see here, this robot has this tank has this rubber thing here, and if you look inside the robot, if you look inside this area here of the robot, I don't know if you can see this, but this area here, it has a sensor here. It has a sensor. The robot has a sensor in this area here that sends a signal, probably sends a signal to the, it's dark so you cannot see it, probably sends a signal to the tank, to the pump, to stop the flow of water. It's not electronic, it's completely, I think it's completely mechanical here. So but the good news is the water does not drip. It didn't create a puddle of water. But I'll put this water tank back and I'll leave it for a few hours, see if it drips. The water tank drips, and I'll come back and report to you what I find out. Okay, the good news is the water tank isn't dripping, and after a few hours, this microfiber pad was damp, obviously after the mopping session. But as I've looked at this water tank, this thing is actually not a pump. There's no GearBest calls this a pump, but I think this is more, it acts more like a valve here. As I've studied it, I'll try to figure out how it works. It acts more like a valve, a release valve here, where when there's air coming in, water flows down. Imagine a milk box, opening your milk, cutting open one hole on one side and cutting another hole on the other side of the box. This acts as a second hole that helps the flow of water. So if you look at this right now, if I do this, let me just turn this thing around. So if I try to make this drip here, it does not drip. And basically it's like a valve. It's more like a valve. This thing works more like a release valve here. So if I do this, if I tilt the water tank, it does not drip. It does not drip here. This hose here introduces air, and once air is introduced, the water drips down to both of these posts here. And I think I mentioned that the thing here is a sensor, but I think it's not a sensor. It's the mechanism here inside the robot is more like an air valve or it releases air. I'm not exactly sure, I'm just guessing. So that's how this water tank works. It's a simple mechanism. It's not electronic, it's all mechanical. So I hope this answers a question. And another question is if this works in the old V7. I don't think this will fit. This water tank will fit in the old V7, but I don't think you would want to use this, because if you put this inside, there will be no air coming in, and it needs air to release the for this tube, for it to drip. And if you have any more questions about this V7S Pro mopping, please do send them in the comments below.